Welcome to Geek Out Virtual Con, the replay of our special 2-day live streaming event, April 11th through 12th, 2020. This segment is prepping for a comic book convention with co-hosts Rob Anderson, the underground indie advocating devil, and Christian Basel, host of The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, a Doctor Who radio show. They're joined by livestream host, head of Rising Tide Publications, and author of many titles, Brian K. Morris, and Onrie Kompan, one of the creators behind the stunning comic book and graphic novel series, Yi Sun-shin.
What's going on?
Hey, Rob, what's up?
How's everything going on today with you? Wonderful people on this Easter Sunday of bubblishness. We're all in our own bubbles. Did you hunt for Easter eggs? Did you find bunnies pooping in your...
Ew.
Yeah, you missed Matt and I with our intro this morning, because not only did we have after hours, like with an S, then we shut down and we were still talking, and I think it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And with a couple of whiskey drinks, so I'm feeling it today. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I took the laptop on the back porch and was sitting there, and I ended up going through a half a bottle of whiskey, and next thing I knew, it was really late. And I'm like, crap, Meredith, we got to be up in 6 hours or be on.
That's you should let the stream continue to run. That would be the most entertaining 3 to 4 hours in the middle of the night. You know what Meredith said after 2 shots of whiskey? Yes.
Oh, we've done that actually on another platform that we worked for.
Yeah.
We did.
We were watching the Democratic. Well, we can tell. We were watching the Democratic debate, and the challenge was that anybody who invoked the name Trump, we had to take a sip of our drink, and then we were like, maybe we should do shots, debates? And then we were like, no, we're gonna be dead. No, this was back in when was this? January?
Okay.
Yeah, this was a few months ago. And it was so funny because people tuned in to see us getting drunk.
Yep.
That was kind of weird.
Yeah, we just had the audio of the
political
debate
stuff. Yeah,
we just had the audio going in the background. We weren't live streaming it, but we had even put up the kind of a poll of what word we should drink on, and I was like, man, with the word Trump, we're going to be freaking toasted. And we both went through a good sized bottle that night. So we have done the drunken streaming thing. I was, towards the end of the night, I was already hitting the whiskey before we killed the show, or before we stopped the show. I just couldn't wait any longer. And we won't say what time I voted. It was just, hey, the boss pays us, but he doesn't, there's no drinking on the job clause. That's one reason we like the boss. But Rob, for those that didn't tune in yesterday, why don't you introduce yourself? And Christian, for those that are just tuning in, introduce yourself again, and then we'll let you guys do your thing.
Hey everybody, I am known as the indie underground advocating devil, because I advocate for indie comics and underground comics, and I am here to talk to you about prepping for a comic book convention and how to survive it.
Mm-hmm. And I think the 4 of us have been to cons, like several. Who wants to take over? Well, you know what? I actually have a question, because when it comes to people who are new, maybe they've got their first comic book or their first book, and they want to go to a con. Of course, it's the phone ringing. A lot of people are like, well, sometimes these tables are really expensive. Am I allowed to combine my table and our resources together and do that? Can you guys speak about that a little bit?
Do you want to start, Christian? I know from my point of view.
I was trying to figure out the question. I apologize, Meredith.
She's asking you, how do you look at your cost of table and decide how to properly do it? Are you sharing it with someone, and are you allowed to share it with someone? That's basically the question, right, Meredith? Yeah.
You go first because I really need to process that question. Yeah, go ahead. I have an answer, but I want to get my thoughts out before I just.
Okay, fair enough. So this is not an easy question to answer, and a lot of that just comes down to the pure fact of what are you doing there. So I'll speak for myself since I am a comic book creator and I go as a comic book creator. It also will then determine by the show. I don't team up with anyone on my tables now that I've established myself more going forward than with someone who is actually involved in my own work. So no con can say anything. They are a collaborator with me. And therefore, I'm allowed to share any table I want with anyone I've collaborated with. And I luckily have a deep pocket of people I can pick from to choose to share a table. So that does help. I'm disappearing. We're all disappearing.
We are?
Am I back?
You're still
yeah, I saw the wheel of death. So
okay.
So I pick it based upon cost is definitely important to me. Of course, I want to make money. The whole point of being there is to make money, and you don't want to make money just to pay for everything. Then you're doing that coal miners song where all you're doing is paying $5 more and you're deeper in debt. So I don't want to do that. I want to, of course, be at a show, and some shows are ridiculous. We talked about this with Meredith when we did the other panel on this on our panels that we do every weekday at 4 p.m. on my OnCon network. It's hard. It's not an easy one. And a lot of it goes down to, and I have this with my Gradacon. Gradacon shows all the different shows, and we were going to start grading them this year and talking about where all the good cons are, and then we can't talk about cons that aren't there. So we're stuck right now, I guess, judging virtual cons. But when you go back, you have to decide first cost, hotel, travel, and also don't forget this important part, and a lot of people forget this, food. A lot of people want to, I want to go out. No, rent a hotel that has the ability to microwave food. You know, get a room that'll maybe have a microwave in it. That'll save you a lot of money, especially on the longer shows that you're worried about. You know, and Brian K. Morris is actually joining us. Here comes BKM. He's just getting off. He just got off the hot plate.
Man with a fez and a bow tie. Got my heart.
He said just get off. Anyway, hi guys. Gals, how you doing?
We were talking about that Mel Gibson film where he was the Passion of the Christ, the BDSM scene. So I don't know, man.
Only Rob.
And you should have seen it.
Uh-oh.
And that's what it did to him. Holy crap.
That's exactly
that's what he gets for blaspheming on Easter.
Everybody strike a pose right now. There we go.
That'll teach you, Rob. That'll teach you.
I think somebody needs to reboot Rob. I don't know. Maybe that computer.
I see it all the time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think Rob needs a good rebooting too. And his computer.
Oh my God. Okay.
Hi, folks. I'm your host, Brian K. Morris, on this special edition of
Freeze Frame.
Now freeze.
Hi, welcome to the Annex.
Well, Brian,
yes,
we're talking about how do you decide what show to go to based on costs, based on could you share a table to make it more affordable? What makes you choose what shows to actually do? Christian, are you ready to answer? Or do you want Brian K. Morris to go first?
I'll give it a shot there.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we have a different perspective. We provide entertainment for the shows. So sometimes there is a give and take to the convention, but I think there's three things involved.
Okay, that's not me this time, right?
What's that?
Oh, that's him. Okay. Welcome to Easter. We're all disappearing. Oh, wait, he's back.
And if you're just joining us, the Underground Envy advocating.
He froze too at the perfect place.
Circle of death there. Okay, so yeah, there are a couple things. First of all, the one that's always on the tip of my mind is, why am I going? Is always the purpose. Why am I being there? Is it worth it? And can I take this loss? Meaning that you have to go into this going, if I spend the money on the con and I have a product that doesn't sell, or in my case, I don't have an audience that grows in that time. You know, if I'm not gaining a new audience, so what am I going there for? And that, I think, is the biggest question of it, because it answers all the other stuff. Is it worth it? Is it worth the price of admission? Do we collaborate? Yes. The whole radio show is about collaboration. I mean, everybody who is on my show, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show, they are in some point, like our director, Melanie Dean. She's an artist and she promotes her art. We have Jessica Womack, who does cosplay. We promote her Instagram cosplay. So I always find it like when we're podcasting, we kind of have a mutual network of things there, but they're also big in their profession. We have a gentleman named Brian Barres. He does a YouTube channel called Dr. Freedom. Anytime a segment of news drops, he's on top of it as far as Doctor Who news, and then he gives his opinion about that. Everybody has their take in there. So to answer that question, we're already in a collaboration, but I think the collaboration has to be, is there something, a give and take? Meaning that usually when I do, like I said, if I get somebody who's helping with the table because I'm doing panels, I have a friend named Victoria Padilla. She does cookie dough cosplay, and she does a lot of Doctor Who cosplay. But if I do panels, she's very happy to be sitting at the table promoting our show at the same time she's promoting her cosplay, the give and take. So as long as somebody's there, knowing that if they're coming on, for a better term, what our showrunner says, Garrett Pomacher, if you're coming in on my ticket, you're coming in on my dime. That means if I'm getting you in to help me out there, whether I pay for the ticket, whether the show paid for the ticket, you have to be respectful that you're coming in on my show. Now, also, I will be respectful to you. Once you give out my flyer about the show, then you can talk about your cosplay. And I think that's the mutual agreement that you can have, because you can collaborate. Is there something? If somebody has something like a Star Trek, I don't know if I'm going to collaborate, or, you know, is talking about Magic the Gathering, you know, something that has no dynamic whatsoever. But if you're willing to work it out, I'll just say it this way. I had somebody who was on my team, one team on another radio show, the other Doctor Who radio show, who would cosplay anything but Doctor Who. And I said, you're going to sit at our table. You're cosplaying Doctor Who. That's the reason why you're here. This is your promote. You want to promote your cosplay, fine, but you have to dress Doctor Who because our radio show's here and you're in on our dime. So I hope I answered that question.
Well, I do have a follow-up, but I do want to
Sure.
comment. Roger had said something about blasphemy. I saw it in the comments and it was put up. Oh, yeah, here it is. Happy Easter. Want to try blaspheming Jesus again? No, I was blaspheming Mel Gibson. Totally about Mel Gibson. It was all about...
He is blaspheme.
It was about Mel Gibson, different religious sect. Follow-up question. You don't... Okay, do you pay for a lot of the tables or you don't? Because I'll get into why. You get invited.
I don't... I prefer not to say.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let me ask you this. Because there are rules for creators. This is why I'm asking. Well, there are rules for creators where we're not allowed to share. Remember I said that they had to collaborate with me? It's a loophole. Anyone who collaborated is welcome at my table. They can't say anything about that. But if they haven't, like, I don't know, Brian K. Morris, let's say we weren't in the Advocator together and I invited him all the way down to Florida. They could kick him out of the show if we'd never collaborated. The fact that we're in the Advocator, they can't say anything because we've teamed up. Is it the same with you guys? Do you have to worry about trying to explain why that person's at your table? Because this is just, you said your entertainment. We're not. We're usually in different sections too. And to be fair, cosplayers usually have a red carpet rolled out while Artist Alley is usually smaller. So I am curious, are there rules given to you about who can be at your table? Because I've seen some tables with 15 people and I'm like, what the hell is going on there?
Tune in to find out more after this 30-second break.
Hey guys, Matthew here with GeekInsider.com, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, MobileEdge.com. If you're a gamer and looking for some gear to protect your gaming gear, Mobile Edge has gaming backpacks, they've got totes, they've got all kinds of carrying cases and tech for today's mobile lifestyle. Protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Look sharp, travel smart, Mobile Edge. Bring it on.
Is it the same with you guys? Do you have to worry about trying to explain why that person's at your table? Because this is just, you said you're entertainment. We're not. We're usually in different sections too. And to be fair, cosplayers usually have a red carpet rolled out, while Artist Alley is usually smaller. So I am curious, are there rules given to you about who can be at your table? Because I've seen some tables with 15 people, and I'm like, what the hell is going on there?
Well, that's cosplayers. They have their own set of rules that I don't think we're attributed to. But yeah, I mean, if Brian did something, like I said, now we're going into stuff that it's not that I don't feel comfortable with, but because we deal with so many conventions and stuff like that, now we're going into territory. I don't want to pit one convention over another. Who gives? Well,
just be vague. Just be vague with us. Is there a situation? Let me phrase it so it's really easy to answer.
Sure.
Is there a situation where they make you prove the person you're working with you have actually a reason to have them at your table?
In the past, no. They just give us a set because it's all about, with our direction, it's the media.
Okay.
And I mean, we can, as long as they are performing some kind of feat for us, whether they're watching the panel table, which they're in the panel, which they're promoting our show, the media is kind of separate. Now, I can't explain for everybody else, and I don't want to give out the secrets, because I don't want to put I don't want to say, yeah, exactly. I don't want to say, well, this show gives us this, and this show gives us this.
Some things happen behind the curtains, and I totally respect that.
Exactly,
it's supposed to happen.
It's a question, not that it's a question to say, listen, we try to make everything fair, but I think the product speaks for itself, and I'm not trying to be gloaty about it, but we do. I think for right now, we are the highest podcast subscription social media. I think our Facebook is right now up to 33,700 people. And not only that, but our reputation. We've gone to different conventions. A lot of the people who work on the team have been in other panels and conventions. So we have something to bring to the table as far as the show is concerned. We're not.
I've tabled next to Christian. He's nothing but respectful. He engages the fans very nicely. He's mindful of his neighbors, and he's always got a smile on his face. It's a pleasure to be around someone like Christian. So I don't have a problem with him, because he's not a cosplayer. He has a real media presence. But I've seen him, unfortunately, always put with cosplayers. So I don't know if that was something that he likes, because I've never seen you in like an artist alley with us. Whenever we've run into each other, you've never been in an artist alley, which I think you should be able to be in there, because you do cover content that is geek related. It's far better than when they put the crafters in with us. I would take you any day of the week over a crafter.
I appreciate that. I take you guys over. I'm not. It's like I said, it really is the independence of each convention, what they have to offer, what they think we have to offer as far as fandom, as far as attention, as far as the entertainment. We bring that. Now, how they want to barometer that with our contract, that's up to them. And if we are able to, but again, it goes down to the three basics. Why are we there? Is it worth it? Can we take a loss if we go there? If I get the hotel room, or if they're providing the hotel room, if I'm getting the table or they provide the table, if I'm getting the panels, or they want us, whatever, is it worth the loss? Then those three go into play. And if I answer no to any one of those,
you get out of the show.
We get out of the show. Yeah. I'm not a good example there. I'm sorry, Brian. I don't want to take up. The biggest show that I know of that all the hooligans go to is Gallifrey One. There is no way in hell we're going to go to Gallifrey One, not because we don't want to be at Gallifrey One. Just the round trip alone, the airfare for me is like $1,000. Then the hotel. Then if we get panels, because they've already got their set of podcasters out there, and they already have an established base. And as far as what we have to offer, I don't know. It's a brand new convention. It's just like another new convention. The conventions, what they do for us is not only bring in new guests, new subscribers, new audience, but also keep in touch with the old ones who don't have a chance to get the questions, or don't have a chance to talk to us, or just want to see us. I literally, I'm not boasting in that when we would go perform at SuperCon, we have people who have openly expressed to me, it says, we planned our whole day against yours, meaning that their first priority with their celebrity choices first, and then they said, then we planned you in. So we must be doing something right, and we must be doing something for that convention. for them to bring us back.
Are you slated for SuperCon? Because I know with the new management, a lot of Florida creators said that they. Go ahead.
I'm not going to, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned yesterday, we're slated for 7 conventions, including Super and Mega.
Okay. So we'll see you at Mega and Super then.
Yeah.
And Brian.
And it wasn't an easy task because it was reapplying for your job that you've done unswervingly.
Yeah.
You had to reapply. It was just like, okay, and I'm not downing SuperCon, but it used to be I could go up to one person, say, we're coming back, what would you like to offer and what would you want us to do? And it was the same thing with MegaCon. Now with Fan Expo having changed out, now with
Reed Pop,
thank you. It was a job application. We had to reapply. I had to tell them, yes, we have all these subscribers. Yes, we've done this before. To people that didn't even know who we were. I was just like, it was freaking out. It was like, okay, I guess every convention that we've gone to, but apparently they've seen our stuff.
I think you guys do good stuff. And speaking of people who do good stuff, Brian, I'm curious to know why you pick a show, because you're a guest. Like, I still need to know how you've become a guest so many times. This man is a guest at almost every show he goes to up there in the Midwest.
As he should be.
I can't even get any respect in my town. I'm like Donnie, what was it? Donnie, what was his name? I don't get any respect. You know him,
Rodney
Brian.
Dangerfield.
Thank you, Rodney Dangerfield. That's how I feel in Florida lately. Like, every show is like, oh, you?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Those too. Yeah, Rob, you and I will talk sometime about my secret. Is somebody I used to work for in the cemetery business used to say there's a little larceny in everything we do, but no, it is based. I am a guest frequently, and in some areas I'm not. But like Christian said very wisely, I don't want to pit my conventions against each other, because some I get more love from than others, but. Then again, I also bring a certain amount of pre-promotion to their shows. I'm always talking about them on my many shows. Never mind, furthermore, 10 a.m. On my channel every day now, and I sneak in promotions like that. But no, getting back to why I pick certain shows as I do. Traffic is one consideration, like how many did you have last year? Also, I look at the guest list. Like, if I don't do incredibly well at shows where it's a Wizard World kind of show where there's like 50,000 guests of varying
Wizard World. Right.
Sorry?
No one does good at Wizard World.
I only know one person that does, and I don't know why, because they're not comic books. Maybe that's it. But it's like the king of self-promotion. Thank you. I fought hard for that title. But no, it's like if I see like somebody, they're promoting somebody who is like, hey, this person was third Ewok on the left in scene 479 of the Ewoks movie. Oh yeah, that one. Gotta get that autograph. And also I take into account the admission fee to get in, because a lot of times at these shows, even in larger cities, a lot of fans, they blow it before the minute they walk through the threshold. They're out of money. There's nothing for the floor. And so it's a kind of a balancing act with that. With all the factors that go into a convention, which is why I'm more comfortable doing mid to small level conventions. It's not that I make like $1 bazillion on it, because basically, whereas Christian is entertainment, I am more retail, more or less. So I have to also figure out, is this trip going to be worth my time? Because as an author, this is time I cannot create. People get nervous when I'm on the expressway typing on my laptop. Don't ask me why. But and if I'm at a show that's at least 5 hours away from my home, unless I go the night before, that whole day is blown for me, because I get up like at dark 100, about the time that decent people should be getting to bed, and I'm out driving on America's thoroughfares and getting up, setting up, doing the show, breaking down, then traveling home. And it's not unusual for me at times to have a 22-hour day, because except for maybe right now, driving is cheaper than getting a room. You know, and all I'm doing at the room is basically changing my clothes, brushing my teeth. I save time on the hair brushing my hair, but you know, it's just a place to stay temporarily. I don't really get a whole lot of benefit from it. So, you know, a lot of that goes into it, and it becomes a balancing act. And the more you do this, it seems like the more elements you find to have to play off of each other. As far as your going in expenses. And I agree, Christian, you have to be prepared, like, how much can I lose at this show? Mm-hmm. But then on the other hand, I also use it as a networking opportunity to meet other professionals who can teach me something, or Lord willing, I can teach them something. Or I have a lot of friends that show, you know, everyone has a con family. Am I wrong? Right? Mm-hmm. You know, I get to see my con family who mean as much to me as my blood ones. You know, there's a lot of factors to balance out, and it doesn't make it easy. And especially when you have two shows that are announcing for the same weekend that you have a history with, you know, sometimes you have to flip a coin and see which one you're going to be at, or weigh the issues of, you know, what goes into it and what you expect to get out of it. Mm-hmm. So that's my long-winded take on it.
And I just wanted to speak on that a little bit too, because you know, having been a retailer, direct sales person, you know, getting these tables, when you're new, if you're going to your first one and you've got one comic book or one book that you've published, it might not be worth it to get your own table, because one, you might not have a following. Nobody knows who you are. So you really have to market yourself. Not only that, but you're still a business person at the end of the day. So what these guys were talking about were these expenses. You have to factor in your overhead. You have to factor in how many printed books, or printed items do I have to bring, my background, what my table looks like, you know, the time that it's going to take to set up and break it down. Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, this is my background right now because I've got things on order, but, you know, so exactly. You know, so you have to, really have to put your business hat on. Did Rob?
Yeah, he did.
For anyone wondering why we're having so much trouble right now, you have to understand it's Easter Sunday. A lot of people are now online doing church. Mm-hmm. And this is tasking the internet. I've seen it all over my feed today. Why is everything running slow? Because there are a lot of people who are social distancing at home and not going to church. And they're tuning in. This is going to be one of the busiest internet days we're going to see right now. So, Meredith, you broke up at the point where you were talking about, I don't want to go in, and then you disappeared.
No.
No, you disappeared.
I don't think it was her, actually.
So
we love you guys. We love you. It's yeah, and everybody. Well, not only that, but now people are going on church online. So everybody that's what's tying up a lot of the Wi-Fi. It's really true. But hey, to each their own.
It's my fault. Hashtag it's Brian's fault. Just start using that. So.
Well, Varian is not here, so we can't send hate mail to him. So you can send it to me.
Of course, if we became, and if anybody is a geek in Doctor Who, we became the Church of the Papal Mainframe, I'm sure either we're going to attract more people or we're going to get a lot more people running out. So I don't know. Now, hashtag it's Brian's fault. Okay, yeah. Can we get that started?
Meredith, there is one thing that you can do, and this is for anyone doing podcasting and starting out very early. Some shows offer fan tables, and fan tables can be free, and they can actually be a way for you to start to grow your business. The only downside is you have to have it manned. So if you're going there by yourself,
if you're going there by yourself, as I frequently do, it helps to have someone who can help you carry the load. Next, Rob will talk, and I'll take a drink of coffee. But we have a new guest with us. Hi, Rob. I took over.
You froze again, Rob.
We understand, brother. We understand.
It's okay. Okay, so this is the new drinking game for the day for Easter Sunday. Anytime Rob freezes, you have to pose and take a drink.
Yeah, my bladder's going to explode in about 10 minutes.
But the thing that I was saying earlier was that you have to come in as a business person. At the end of the day, even though you're creative and you're like, hey, this is a great opportunity for me. If you're not looking at your budget for all of those things, every single thing, and people do forget about food. People forget about the cost of tolls and gas money.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this message.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is Jake Estrada from Indie Originals. This year, for Indie Originals 2020, we've added another category, and that's comic books, independent comic book creators. That's right, guys. Here we are. We're inside a comic book shop, and look at all these beautiful comic books. I want to tell you, indie comics are the backbone of Marvel and DC, because Marvel and DC cherry picks certain creators, and they make these guys superstars. So that's why we added comic books. But I'm a comic book guy as well. I'm the creator of Bocas, soon to be released feature film. And we also have Terrence Baker as a judge, along with Nino Mazzarina, who does the Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man, along with his little comic strip that he does for the Chicago Tribune. You need to sign up. You can go to www.indieoriginals.com and sign up for the Indie Originals Comic Book Contest. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Peace out.
The thing that I was saying earlier was that, you have to come in as a business person, at the end of the day, even though you're creative and you're like, hey, this is a great opportunity for me. If you're not looking at your budget for all of those things, every single thing, and, people do forget about food. People forget about the cost of tolls and gas money. Parking. I mean, all of those things that you have to factor in, and you really have to look at it as a business sense. Is it smart for you to go in? Are you allowed to share a table so that you can share expenses there? Splitting a hotel room, okay, that's fine as long as they're not a creepy stalker killer. So there are ways that you can cut costs. You maybe carpool and things like that if there's room with all the stuff that you have to carry. So these are all things that you have to take into account. So treat it like a business, because that's exactly what it is. When you're going there, you have your storefront, and I don't know if that's something that I don't know if Rob had kind of a list of things that he might want to touch on, but that was another thing that I was curious about, is how you guys make that presentation at your table. I know that Rob has spoken about this on OnCon in some of his panels, and maybe we can just kind of touch on that. What does the presentation of your table look like? How do you present it? How do you market yourself once you're there?
Well, anything that hasn't been damaged on the trip going up there, like the tables and stuff, you kind of makeshift. And going back to that, because on our show we have actually done 2 or 3 con survival guides. The best way that we've determined this is plan it as if you're going to Disney World, because you include the tickets, you include the time, you include the food and everything. Plan it as you're going to a theme. Not only that, but you got to plan the interior. But when you're inside, like, are you diabetic? Do you need medication? Do you need to take your meds and pills? Are you somebody who dehydrates easily? Know where the nearest water fountains, or have a supply full of water? Is that place is the place you're going like the TSA? Do they stop and frisk you and take away your your fun little plastic weapons on the way in? Is there something? Because I know there are a couple cons out there, they won't even let you let food in, which I don't understand. Because some people are in there, and some people have health conditions where they need to have a sugar rush, or they need something to keep going. So I've never understood that, but I understand.
Interrupting for one moment.
Yeah,
I do
right.
know why. I do know why.
Oh, okay.
A number of conventions have food vendors, whether they're internal or they have food trucks outside, and those guys sometimes have a no compete clause, so that if there's somebody in house who can create like $5 hot dogs and extra for all the condiments, they can say, okay, nobody can bring in food. Although I have rarely encountered a promoter who will say, unilaterally that no one can bring in food if they have some sort of health challenge.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so
I mean,
I just want to make that. I just wanted to put that.
No, I totally understand. If I'm
Christian.
bringing in a cooler and selling, bottled water for $1, I get it because those guys got to make money. The people inside got to make money. I get it. I get that part. But if I'm just because it's 90 degrees out in Florida weather and the AC's not helping, I need a couple bottled waters in there. So I totally respect on that account. But again, it's planning for a theme park, planning what you're going to do, what the plan is for that day. Also, if you're planning and you're going there for your own entertainment, plan to have somebody either cover the booth and spend some time with you. Because if you're going out there and you want to see, I'll make it up, I want to see Peter Capaldi, and he's only showing up for one day, I want to make sure that I have the time away from my table to do that, because a lot of I feel bad for when I do a walk around occasionally at the cons, and I go, how's everything going? And the majority of the people are going like, I just, they don't appreciate the con, meaning that they can't be there to enjoy it. They're stuck at that little table from start to finish. When they got to go to the bathroom, it's urgency time. It's just like, well, if I can leave my table for 5 minutes, nobody's going to steal anything, right? Boom. You just have to have mentally the laid out plans as if you were going to a theme park. Am I going to Space Mountain first, or am I doing this? So that's the way we handle it. Sorry.
Brian, do you want to take this one first?
I would echo everything Christian said. I'm only now starting to get helpers to come with me because apparently I make this look sexy or something like that. I don't.
It's the fez and the bow tie.
It's the fez. It is the
I'm
fez.
in love with you already.
Ditto, brother. Ditto. But it's like, like last year I had a friend who, was telling me, and I say this warmly because she's a wonderful lady, but she was like, wanting to be a writer, and she's like, well, you stay at all the best Super 8s. You go to these exotic places, like Applebee's and such like that, and you get up early in the morning and you drive all around the country. And I said, you've just described a lifestyle that makes me want to open my veins on Friday morning, But and I brought her with me, and now she's got her first book out and is working on her second. So kudos to her for that. But you have to plan. I always liken it to you have to in my case it's like invading a small country, that you have to plan for casualties, you have to plan for losses, and knowing that your plan will not survive the encounter with the enemy. And that's one thing in the last, I've been doing the road show since late 2012 for my Rising Tide operations. And there are a lot of shows that I used to attend for fun. I don't think in that time I have been at a show just for fun. Maybe 3 or 4 in all those years, because I'm working constantly. But I'm the same way. I like getting out of my booth, even if I have to leave it for a minute, which is why you should be good to your neighbors, because they can at least keep an eye on things for you, and you can do the same for them because it's a cool thing to do. But I like getting out and just saying hi to friends I've got at the shows, or maybe checking out what's on the other tables. And I'm not so starstruck anymore that I need to meet the celebrities sort of thing. Although I would probably give a like an organ for John Barrowman. I still, he just sounds so awesome. But yeah, it's kind of, you have to strategize. You have to go in with a game plan, and then once you get there, you got to put your game face on and interact with people. And I'm kind of empathic, so kind of interacting with humans for a prolonged period of time is exhausting. I did a show last year where the promoters actually put me up at their house for the night, and we all went to dinner, and we all spent, virtually about the only time I was alone was when I was in my car going from their house to the event. And that night I was just so exhausted. I had another show in another town the next day, and she's like, come over and crash on my couch. I'm like, no, I've had enough people for a while. I wound up spending the night sleeping at an interstate rest stop. And I'm like, oh, no one around. This is great. Oh my God. So you have to also take your internal messes into account as well. So #real writer problems.
Well, I approach it a little more logistically, and I'm sure you both do in the way, but you just didn't mention it. So I'll be the guy who does mention it. I'll do the metaphor, though, to sound cool like the cool kids. For me, it's not like going to Disney. It's like going to Disney and setting up in the middle of Disney and having to compete with everyone in Disney, including Goofy and Donald and Mickey and Minnie. Sleeping in a car is a real thing. It saves so much money and it makes things affordable. I have learned to sleep at the Walmart parking lot very often. I don't know if I will in the future because of all the testing that happened. Maybe I'll let the fog go away for a while and then start again. But no, really, sleeping in your car matters. But here's what you have to do. You have to be logistic about it. How long is the show? If it's a 2-day show, your setup should reflect a 2-day show. You want to go up fast, come down fast. It's not worth investing anything more. A 1-day show, you barely want to put stuff out. You put up your top sellers, and that's it, and the things that get attraction. You should have banners that are driving your audience to you for the most part, and you got to find that out on your own. Everyone's different, and I have different banners for different shows, and that matters. Am I going to a family-friendly show? Because if I'm going to a family-friendly show, I shouldn't be putting out my free hugs and spanks sign. What I should be doing is pushing Cat Dad and Supermom.
Where do you think those families came from?
Well, it's not that you don't have adults. It's the impression that you will have. Because a family-friendly show, the people who are showing up are usually snobbish. They're usually, I want a very family-friendly event. Meanwhile, their kids will be dressed up as Harley Quinn. That's a discussion for another day. Yes. Totally there. But
yes. Cosplayers show up in the corner and you're like, okay.
All family services? Oh, yeah.
You have to make that decision right away. What kind of show is this for me? Once you're invested in it, you then have to understand what stock you want to bring. Remember, the more weight you travel with, the more gas you use. So you only want to bring what you're going to sell and then a little more. You don't want to ever be so shortcut that if you sell out, you're failing unless you're done with that book. If you're done with the book, then yes, sell it out, get rid of it. But if it's an ongoing title for you, you should never sell out at your table. So you need to have enough. And you have to understand the shows. You have to understand the demographics. You have to understand what weather's coming. You have to understand the exact amount of, and this is something people don't do. Look up the area and see what the average annual income is. See what the demographics are. And I don't mean anything about the ethnicity. I'm talking age. Age is going to be a big factor. Okay, 1 second.
Well, it's not frozen.
My computer went to sleep for some reason. It got bored of me. So it has to be the right fit for the show. A younger audience is going to bring money. A older audience isn't going to necessarily bring money, but they might be collectors. Mm-hmm. So then you got your all covers. There's so much that you need to really be investing your time in as a creator going to these shows. And a lot of people just show up, put up a tablecloth, and then that's it. I have different setups, and Brian has seen them over the year, depending on the show, depending on how much I have to draw. And Chris, you saw what I set up at that show. Mm-hmm. And we were at such an awkward space because that one guy had blocked out the entire ability to get in on the one side. I had to put up my... this thing can go on top of my table. We put it up on top of the table, on top of a case to get it to go higher, and we finally started dragging people in. Funny story, I didn't realize that it was two-sided when I first put it up because it wasn't meant to go where we put it originally. So the woman behind us kept getting asked to give free hugs and spanks. That was hysterical. And you know,
she's cute.
The funny thing is she was doing that armor stuff, like, you know, the medieval stuff, and she's chain link. And it was really working for her. And she was like, she's like, I don't know if we should leave it. And I was like, we'll move it. And then the next day she made less sales after asking it to be moved. Ha ha, woman, you should have left it. But yeah, you got to understand the market. You got to understand where you're setting up. You know, if you're setting up at a mall, if you're setting up at a legitimate con, if you're setting up at a toy fair. When I go to a toy fair, I put out toys. People stop to get the toys, talk about the toys. And the next thing you know, there I am, selling comics to the same people buying toys. You got to be smart on how you do this. This isn't just showing up. This is being the peacock and putting your feathers out, but putting the right feathers out. Don't be the peacock who puts the feathers out to the Wolverine. The Wolverine's just going to kill you. Learn what the Wolverine likes. So that's where you have to do your research. And then from that, you bring in the proper materials, you know?
Exactly. And I don't think you even have to tell the vendors as much, but look at the celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they're going to be geeking out for more. Here's a funny. What happened Here's a funny joke into that one. I won't say the convention, but they had 4 Doctor Who celebrities, and they all quit.
We'll be back right after this break. Cards, the Universe, and Everything is a trading card collecting battle card game that has a little something from everything. From the Old West to outer space and everything in between, Cards, the Universe, and Everything is great for gamers and collectors of all ages. Download it from your app store, and as you collect hundreds of available cards, there are more weekly, so you can craft up to 10 decks and battle against your friends and other players from around the world. And if you're an educator, check out cardstheuniverseandeverything.com for a special offer for you and your students.
And here's a funny. Oh, what happened there? Here's a funny joke into that one. I won't say the convention, but they had 4 Doctor Who celebrities, and they all quit at the last minute. Do you remember that one convention?
Yes.
I will not say.
Yes, I know what you're
I
talking
remember hearing about that. Yes,
we got a message from that convention going, by the way, you're the Doctor Who celebrity. Everybody had bought their tickets to see these 4 celebrities. And we were the corner market because there was no Doctor Who presence whatsoever, and our panels were either standing remotely or, and I even boasted. I said, "Yeah, look at this. Our panels, we had to turn people away, and they did capacity because they were here to see 4 other people." But a lot of them stuck around and said, "Hey, we like what you have to offer." Having said that, I was just like knowing that people who come in with the impression of, I'll just use this, Jason Momoa. I mean, if you're going to if Aquaman's showing up, you're probably not going to put out a lot of Harry Cavill stuff out there, or you're going to try to. And I know a lot of vendors do this, but maybe some up and coming vendors look at the celebrities, see what's going on out there. If it's Harley Quinn, and watch your cosplayers too. See, because that's a good trend as well. You can see the cosplayers trending to a Harley Quinn or the next Doctor who just showed up. Then you can move your merchandise to fit that. I've worked at tables where I'm like, why do you have this merchandise out here? This is not what is the geekdom in here.
Well, unfortunately for me and Brian, that doesn't work. Yeah. We can't draw, we can't make the Aquaman book. So for creators, they don't have that. But that's a great thing. And actually, we have artists that will be on later today that I'm sure definitely are approaching that. One thing I did want to talk about, because we had this question, we've been ignoring it, and I didn't want to. What is wrong with crafters? And I said it, so I'll start. There is nothing wrong with crafters. I will say that a lot of crafters are doing something illegal. They are using IP properties they don't have the right to sell, and they are doing so in an illegal fashion. There is a legal way to sell things with the licensing. Even if you're going to Joann's Crafts and you're buying the big things and making pillows, that is actually winds up being technically legal. But there are illegal things like when you're downloading things from the internet and putting them on belt buckles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, what is wrong with Crafters and Artist Alley? Here it is. Artist Alley was originally designated to be cheaper places for creators to show up. It was artists and, yes, writers. The original New York Comic Con, forget what San Diego tells you, the first Comic Con was in New York City. Yeah. The first Comic Con had an artist alley, and that's all it was. It was writers and creators sitting around. It was at a hotel. That is where Bill Finger was actually discovered by the guy who made the documentary about Bill Finger, was at that Comic-Con. There was nothing. There wasn't merchants or anything. Then you added the layer of merchants. So merchants came in. They started selling wares. Again, nothing wrong. Most of it's legal. Most of it's above board. Then suddenly creators started putting up banners, and Artist Alley began to change, and fan art started to come in. And I'm not going to get into a long thing about fan art. I'm not going to go very hard onto fan art, but fan art's not legal. Technically, it's not. It's illegal. It is what it is. So then suddenly we started having crafters come in the alleys. Now, here's the problem. Crafters and artists who are doing fan art can spend more on a table than someone that Brian K. Morris can, than someone that I can, because we're literally selling $5 to $10 at a time, where they're selling $30 to $40 items continuously throughout the day. So they should all be in the merchant section. And there's a lot of cons, I give a lot of credit, who are making craft sections now. And again, They belong at the show. I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying they don't belong in Artist Alley. And if everyone's like, oh, crafters are Artist Alley, then okay, how come when I apply to go to a crafts fair, they tell me I'm not welcome because I'm an artist? It's not. It's not the same thing. It's not art. There can be artistic stuff behind it, but it's not the art form at a Comic Con. Now, if you're at a fan expo, or if you're at like in all like the fandom stuff, I can understand it. The minute you say comic book, Artist Alley means one thing. So that's my opinion on crafts. I don't have anything against them. I do wish they stay above board and legal. Beyond that, I don't think you belong in Artist Alley, but I do think that they maybe should look at giving you a crafts alley, but more than likely you belong in the merchant section. The reason you don't want to be in the merchant section is because that's an expensive table. So you're coming in and taking away the opportunity from an up-and-coming artist. Just remember that. And it even says in the contracts down here in Florida and the ones throughout the United States, because I travel, you're not supposed to bring crafts into Artist Alley. And I get it. It's the fall of the convention. Like what Christian said, I don't want to call out a convention, but they're letting it happen. There are conventions that are certainly letting it happen and not following it up with it. So it's a problem that is not being addressed, same as fan art. But I'll leave it up to you two gentlemen.
Well, I will agree with you on that, Rob. I think the crafters should have their own section, and I don't see anything wrong with them being there except for the relevance. Like, I have been to shows, both book shows and comic book shows or pop culture shows in general, and there'll be somebody that has a big floral display there, which has nothing to do with anything there. But again, they're trying to get this, inexpensive table to sell their stuff. And if nothing else, it's a distraction from people that might have something relevant to sell to the customers who come in through the front door. I agree with you, and also on the IP issue, because I do a lot of times studying what is fair use and what is not. I'm almost becoming an internet lawyer in that regard. And I will see, I have read contracts where they make very specific mention that you are not to bring anything that is not authorized material. For instance, you're not supposed, and they'll say very explicitly, you're not supposed to sell bootleg DVDs, for instance, and yet there'll still be somebody there that offers them. Or they'll say, okay, you can't sell bootleg DVDs, and then there's somebody with like 2 full tables of Sailor Moon paraphernalia that they made at home. Mm-hmm. So I would like to, and of course, the infamous wall prints. I want to
the pirate sale.
Exactly, Rob. And I want to see promoters police themselves better. I've seen a little of it going on in the years I've been doing this, both before I did Rising Tide, when I sold back issue comics. I see a number of promoters that do handle that well, and they they see it, can't verify it's a license. Okay, pull your stuff down. But a lot of promoters only see the fact that they have made X number of monies because they have sold a piece of real estate at their show, and that's all that they're really into. And that's also, again, something else I take into account. Last year, was I set up next to somebody who is selling funeral wreaths, or was I next to somebody that maybe is selling toys? I know which I'd rather be sitting next to. So,
well, I'm just going to address the chats over here. First of all, yes. It was Phil Locklear who came. Whoa, are you okay?
Yeah. My son's been kicking it all day.
It's the one time you do wish the screen would freeze. And I think I speak for Rob. We're not criticizing artists. I guess for the better term, for the legal artists, and I think you might also agree too, because I think it's harder for conventions. But I call it the cluster F for a better term, because I meant people. I think
Stop crying, Rob.
It's just a banner. You can replace it.
Just you and me, Christian. Let's
Staples
talk.
got like 50% off there. Well, first of all, let me go ahead and get back to Stephen Ort's. I ended up buying Doctor Who art at an anime convention. I'm not saying that it's not a possibility. It's just that your audience is not geared to that. Now, geekdoms do cross over. It is a possibility. You could go to Star Trek convention. Somebody is selling Doctor Who merchandise, a sonic screwdriver, and you buy a Sonic. It's just that it's a Star Trek convention, so everybody has that perception. They're going in there full on for Star Trek. And going on Phil's notes, yeah, we're not criticizing artists by any means of imagination. I have quite a few artists, cosplayers. I have a ton of people, podcasters who work on my show. I would never criticize them because they're artists. I would like to think that I'm an artist in some kind of way, but that's up to the interpretation. But I think I can speak for all three of us to say that in a customer service sense, if I'm looking for a product, let's say I'm taking my daughter, I want her to get her pictures with cosplayers. There's a cosplay alley. I know exactly where it's at. If I'm getting a painting, you know what, I'm looking for a Matt Smith painting. You know, I can go to the artist alley and I'm looking for a Matt Smith. Or if I'm going over here, if I'm looking for somebody who makes a certain craft. I'm trying to think of somebody just jump in and say something because I'm stupid right now.
No, you're good.
There's a crafters alley. That's good customer service, I think, in the essence for the convention. When I see conventions, sometimes it is a cluster. There's a podcaster sitting right next to like you mentioned, Rob, cosplayer sitting next to a podcaster who's sitting next to a crafter. Yeah, and there's no cohesiveness. Now, it might be up to the convention. They're going like, well, you know what, we want to give more.
But let me ask you, Christian.
Imagine, yeah.
Would you go to a grocery store that mixed things weirdly, where the vegetables are right next to the soda, but it's only a certain vegetable that's next to a soda, so you have to go across the way, and the other vegetable you want's now with the bounty? Would that be a supermarket you'd ever shop at?
Yeah, I go to Costco all the time.
Point taken.
But Costco does try. I have worked actually for Costco.
And and Publix, who you will go down like the international aisle, and then all of a sudden there's a bread sandwich holder container. I'm like, why is that in the international? Why wouldn't that be in the bread aisle where it would actually make sense? Or they have like plastic straws next to the bread aisle. I'm like, wouldn't that be with the soda?
You don't drink your bread?
What's that?
You don't drink your bread?
Not this weekend, no. You didn't do that little kid when you were a kid? You would take the bread and you take the straw and just like fill up the straw with the bread.
I still do.
Shoot it?
Yeah. There you go. See, that might be appealing to that audience. They may have that. They may have done the research, and I'm just talking on them. You know what? But yeah, just for customer service sake, I think your media should all be together. Now the problem is with the podcasters, they're all playing music and stuff at the same time, or they're demonstrating their podcasters. But I think if you keep them, and I don't want to use this word, but kind of in their own group or segregated because of customer service, where they know that if I go down here, that's what I'm looking for. How many times have you heard somebody go, "Where's this?" And they're in Artist Alley. Where's this podcaster? And he's in Artist Alley. Where is this cosplayer? And they're in the community center. I'm just like, if they could keep it consistent, I think it makes just for better customer service. But that's up to the convention too, and it's hard to. Like I said, I don't want to badmouth the convention when they're doing a service like that. For the craft, Stephen Orr says, for the crafter versus artist issue, both should have to submit examples of what they sell to qualify for the section.
Agreed. And we're joined a little late. This show actually started about an hour ago, so you're at the tail end.
I'm at the tail end of it? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought it was
so show us what you got.
Hour changes.
Yeah.
It's on Central Time.
Yeah, it's different times. I saw you coming. I was like, damn, it was the wrong time. Just tell them who you are, because we're on our way out anyway. Tell
them why you're awesome, Onrie.
Yeah, tell them why I'm awesome. I'm awesome because I'm always late. I'm fashionably late, even if it's at the last second.
So tell them who you are, because we got to get out of here.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Onrie Kompan. I'm the writer, creator, and producer of Yusun Shin. I was really looking forward to talking to you guys about everything, but My fault. I was late. So hopefully, I'm sure Rob will have plenty of other opportunities for me to come on here.
All next week.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Well, thanks a lot, Onrie. That was great. Thanks so much. Just like a real convention, we
I got to meet you, Christian.
You too. Just like a real convention, we got to end this early so we can get the next panel.
You know, I was supposed to be at a convention today.
Which one?
Indiana Comic Con, but you know, that's all right. We got.
I stopped looking at my schedule for the shows I was supposed to be at. My tears will never dry.
Real quick before you go, are you guys looking like, how the hell am I going to do this summer? As all these shows keep changing their dates, like, we're just going to go here and then this will be here.
No, it's not only that. They're
back-to-back shows.
They're bunking up against each other. SuperCon and Tampa Bay are on top of SuperCon and Tampa Bay right on top of each other. And not only that, I went insanely nothing against SuperCon, but I dreaded that they put it on 4th of July day weekend. That's what they used to have.
And I was like, it's tone deaf.
I'm totally with you, Christian. Yeah, go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Right.
No, it's tone deaf because Christian knows this. That show's horrible because of July 4th. We've been asking for it to be moved.
And they moved it.
There were creators who are like, I'm not doing SuperCon. And
they will never do SuperCon again after 2014.
Yeah,
they literally had me on an end cap up against a wall. Like, there's nobody who is going to walk down an aisle just to hit a wall. That's where I was. I had to literally run out of the aisle in order to try and bring people over there, but there was no one fucking there on the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday.
It's a family show.
Yeah, it's a family show. Oh, sorry, I dropped the F-bomb.
Whose family, though?
That's what I get for coming on late and not knowing the rules.
This is Easter, man. Have some civility.
No, Rob has probably taught her that word already. So.
He did that on my show earlier.
Oh, that kid, he drops it. He goes, what the? And I'm like, oh, no, you can't say that at school. All right, guys.
I have a friend who used to, when he'd get frustrated, he'd say, smoking too much crack, and he'd hit himself in the head with a book nearby. And he did this until his 5-year-old son went to school and did the same thing and had to come in for a special parent-teacher conference.
Sure.
I have parent-teacher conferences every day now. And I got to tell my kid, like, you're failing in math, you're failing in science, you're fucking failing everything. I mean, you're flipping failing everything.
All right, now that we've lost control of the show.
Sorry.
Everyone say your goodbyes because we want to give ICC. They're up next at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So, Christian, tell them how they can follow you.
Yes, sir. Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show on Facebook. We are part of the iHeart family, so please check us out. We're dropping new episodes every single week. You want to subscribe. And also, please check out, we just put it up just last month, thelegendofthetravelingtardis.com, where you can check us out with our events that are coming up. And yes, they're always subject to change, so just keep that in mind. And guys, just again, please stay safe. Please stay home. We want to see you out there. We love you all, and thanks for joining us. I'll be back later on. Yeah, gotta go. Gotta have lunch with the folks. And I just want to address Stephen Ort. Says buy an RV, and I go, literally, it has to be bigger on the inside.
Nice. I agree, and I'm working on getting a van for conventions too. But anyway, I'm Brian K. Morris of Rising Tide Publications, risingtide.pub. Also on Facebook, where we have new content twice a day. I'm also on every day at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central with Nevermind the Furthermore, Facebook live show where you are the guest star and you get to promote yourself. And on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central, I do a special show called Clever Title Pending, where we talk about creativity and the business behind it. But go to Rising Tide Publications, and we have a variety of books and a variety of genres. We think you'll find something you love. Check it out. Now to Onrie.
Wow. How do I follow up from you guys? Anyway, since I missed this episode, or this block of time to talk about convention prepping, you can go on YouTube and type in Onward with Onrie. That's my show, and I do a whole episode about table setups. It's episode 069, and it's called Evolution, and it's 10 minutes of me talking about how I revamped my space. You can also find Yustin Shin online at www.yisunshin.com. I don't know if that's coming up backwards or not, but I'll move my head here, and it's yisunshin.com. And if you buy from me right now, I cover your shipping costs. I sign everything for you. I package it up. It's a beautiful thing. Come check out our store. We got excellent prices on everything, great books. You can learn all about our series through there.
And I am the advocating indie underground devil. It's been a pleasure to be with you guys today. Matthew is here to kick us out. Check me out at MrAnderson.com, and definitely check out what's next. My man Terrence Baker's taking over with ICC. And check out IndieAdvocates.com for everything indie. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
See you later, Matt. Yep.
Take care,
See you
everyone.
later.
Yep.
Bye, everyone. All right, guys, we do have ICC up next, but we are going to need you to wait just a couple of minutes and then re-click, because we have got to get a fresh link here for everybody. And so make sure that if you're not already doing so, that you're following or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and our podcast is available wherever you listen to your podcast, everywhere except iHeartRadio, and that is pending. That'll be up hopefully this week. But just give us a couple of minutes here, guys, not even a minute or two, and then click back in, and we will be right back with ICC.
Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Geek Out Virtual Con, the replay, where we're prepping for comic book conventions with co-hosts Rob Anderson, the underground indie advocating devil, and Christian Basel, host of The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, a Doctor Who radio show. They're joined by Brian K. Morris, live streaming host of Nevermind the Nevermore, head of Rising Tide Publications, and author in his own right, and Onrie Kompan, one of the creators behind the stunning comic book and graphic novel series Yi Sun Shin. Be sure to follow them wherever you can. But there's more. Be sure to tune in to the Geek Insider podcast, available on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and tell all your friends. Because if you don't, you might have to turn in your geek card.